Okay, let's continue then. I finished the ovarian part now. And the second part before lunch I'm going to talk is the uterus. And again I will start with the normal function of the uterus. And the special reference I will turn to postpartum period, because postpartum period population is the time which the uterus will be influenced most, and the most pathologies will happen during that time. So this is my original drawing, and if we're talking about this postpartum period, this is most critical time in uterus point of view. Because on the one side there is a parturition, it's here. On the same time, on the other end, there is a new conception. So, and the postpartum period or puerperium is some sort of bridge which is connecting this parturition and the new conception. And to get the girl again pregnant after parturition, we need two sides. One side are the ovaries here, and another side is the uterus. And both of them are involved to successful new pregnancy establishment. I was talking a lot about ovaries in the morning here, and if we're talking about the ovaries postpartum, main task is that the ovaries, that the follicles start to grow, and those follicles should start to produce the hormones, the steroid hormones. And if there are follicles, if there are steroids, it should thus give the estrous cycle. And if this side is okay, without no pathologies, and also if the uterus is okay, if there is a normal estrous cycle, finally it should lead to new conception. But very, very important is this uterus side, because here is much more events we will see than in ovarian part. And first of all, after parturition, three parts of the uterus are involved. That's the myometrium of the uterus, that's the lumen of the uterus, and that's the endometrium of the uterus. And the first of all, the biggest role is the myometrium here, because myometrium must shrinkage and must atrophy. So, and this shrinkage and atrophy leads to the uterus is getting smaller in size. Inside the uterine lumen, there is always bacteria, not in 100% cases, but in many cases there is a bacteria, and out of the uterine lumen there should be elimination of bacteria during this puerperial time. And of course, this shrinkage and atrophy of the myometrium will help to clean the uterus lumen out of this bacteria. And if we're talking about the endometrium must return. And if all those steps are passed successfully, we can call it uterine involution. And if the involution is okay, and on the other side there is a normal resumption of estrous cycle, these two parts may lead us to new conception. But not always, yeah, things are going we want them to go. And what is normal? If we're talking about uterine involution, you should know that if you have cows, pluriparous cow, multiparous cow, in cows it's usually longer. We are saying that in pluriparous cows, complete uterine involution time is roughly 40 days. If we're talking about the pluriparous, the first cow takers, they have about 1 week short. It's 34 days. And average duration of the postpartum period is said to be as 45 days. And that is the reason why usually we are not starting the inseminations before. Because during that time, uterus should be ready for new pregnancy, and also we hope that the ovaries are working normally. Reduction in size of the uterine horns is very important, and if you are going to make a continuous rectal palpations, for example, the diameter of the previous carved horn usually halved by 5 days, and the length is halved by 15 days. And if now, let's say that 10 days is passed and you are doing the rectal palpation, and if uterus is palpable by rectum, then you can say that most likely this involution process is going on. Restoration of endometrium is the next very important stage. And what we always see when the cow is calving, after calving, we always see is that during first week or during first 10 days, there is quite a lot of fluid is coming out from the vulva. And we call this discharge as a lochial discharge. And again, we should be very careful to look in this lochia, because this day, 7 days, 6, 7, 8 days, this is the time when something is going wrong. We will see that, and we will see that from that discharge which is coming out. If we will see that the discharge is purulent or it's smelling, the process is not normal. Most likely there is endometritis or there is even meningitis. And also, you should turn attention to the color of the discharge. Usually at the beginning, first days after palpation, the discharge is mix of blood and the mucus. And always as much mucus and less blood, the better prognosis. But the normal lochia, the color is changing. And if you will see around day 8, 10 or 11 that the discharge is dark brown or very dark red color or even black, this is rather normal. Again, my own practice, I remember that I was invited to one farm, and the farmer said me that there are many postpartum cows who have this dark brown black discharge is coming, and in my mind this is not normal. But this is quite normal lochial discharge. The color very often is changing from mucoid, from blood color, which is more red, which turns to be dark brown and black. Most important, you take this discharge, the smell. If there is no smell, if there is no purulent pieces, pus inside, then it's a normal process. What you should know is that usually we are saying that there should not be any discharge coming out after day 20. If you will see discharge after day 20, it may be the indication that the involution process is dead. But again, should we intervene or not, it depends what kind of discharge we will see. But I'm coming back on that when I will finish this normal part. Fetal membranes and also slouched surface of the uterine granules. This is mixture. And by diagrams we can see this like this, that the uterine weight is this, so here, and you will see that, and there is also the length, uterine length in centimeters, and we will see that this is a quite quick decrease, and around day 10, it's half of the size is lost how it was immediately after postpartum. And here is also shown the lochial volume discharge. There is quite a big amount during first 10 days, then the amount will decrease, and usually after day 20 you should not see any discharge. This is already quite old science. It was well known already more than 50 years ago. This is typical picture. It's 5 days after palpation, and what we will see here, this is the cervix, which are in the cervix here, and cervix is open. We will see that the rod is introduced to the cervix here, and inside the vagina here you will see the lochial discharge. And this, on the 5 days there is a mucus, it's a mucoid, discharge, and that is why it's red. There is still some blood is visible. And of course the cervix is quite big. And if we will look at the bigger picture, where is the uterus, where are the ovaries on day 5 postpartum, you see that the pregnancy have been on the left uterine horn here. And if we will measure the length of the uterine horn, it's 58 centimeters, it's huge. So, and if we are looking at the ovaries on the same time, that is possible to see the CL of the pregnancy here. This is the CL here. It's a degenerating CL already here, where it is not cutted, but here it's halved. Cut is made. And this is an interesting case because this cow had 2 CLs. She had CL on the right ovary, yeah, and she had CL also on the left ovary, but there was only one calf, there was only one pregnancy. So, and uterine interior, very nice lochial discharges here, carunculus are visible here. And this is the remnants of this fetal fluids. And soon this slouching surface of the carunculus will be added to this fluid. And now the picture is dramatically changed. If we are approaching to day 20, you will see that the cervix is much smaller. There is no big discharge visible anymore here. There are some discharge here, but it's a mucus mostly. Cervix is starting, it's more or less closed. Of course, this road is inserted there, but generally the cervix is closed. And it's much smaller than it was in 2 pictures ago. And this is the cross view that we can see around day 20. You will see that the uterine horn is much shorter, and CLs of pregnancy are almost degenerating. They are not any more visible here. And what we will see already is that the follicle development will start here. And new follicles after parturition will start to form. And there is 2 quite big follicles here. And if we are looking inside the uterus, we will see that the carunculus have been getting much smaller. This is the cut is made to the uterine wall, and we will see that these blood vessels which were directed to the carunculus, they are getting much smaller here, and clear, nice mucus is now visible between the carunculus here. This is very normal process, and I think that this cow, everything is okay with this cow. The most important event, what happens in the endometrium and in the surfaces of the caruncula, is given here. And let's say that we have 2 days of the parturition, and 2 days of the parturition, there will be the first necrosis visible on the surface of the caruncula here. First signs of necrosis starts. And now, if we are approaching 5 days postpartum, this necrotic surface area of the caruncula will be slouched away. And this slouching process is finished around day 10-15, when the surface is slouched to uterine lumen and lochial discharge is giving it away. And then around day 19-20, new caruncular epithelium start to grow. And this growth starts here where the stalk of the caruncula is. It starts like this from the both sides, and it will be connected there. And 25 to 30 days postpartum, usually this caruncular surface here is covered with new epithelium. And of course, when the caruncular height was 2.5 centimeters immediately, 2 days after parturition, then around 30 days postpartum, the height of the caruncula is just 8 millimeters. On the same time, when the healing process is going here, on the same time, caruncula is diminishing in the size. And when this process is finished, we may say that the cow is more or less ready for new pregnancy. But despite on that this process might be ended around day 30, we are still saying that the average time for this total evolution is 40 days. And usually we are not going to inseminate before 45 to 50 days after parturition. This is the normal part. Second is the bacteria inside the uterus. And if there is an infection, if there are bacteria inside the uterus, the source of this infection is always the environment. As dirty, we have the surroundings around the cow, and cow is calving. Or if we are going to assist the cow, and we are doing it with dirty hands, or not cleaning the cow, not cleaning our hands, we introduce, of course, the bacteria inside the child. So, and then moreover, because if cow is giving the birth, there is a pressure, and there is a break in the pressure. There is a pressure again, and even whether there is a break between those pressures, air is going into the reproductive tract. And when the surroundings are very dirty, this air is sucked into the reproductive tract, and this is also the way how the bacteria is inserting there. And it means that calving area, surroundings around calving should be kept as clean as possible. And it was always let's say that 40 years ago, it was always said that all the cows' reproductive tract is infected with bacteria. But recent investigations, I have myself also done quite a lot of investigations about that question during last year, 20 years. I can say that it's not always like this. We cannot say that every cow has an infection in the uterus. And there is a change over the years, because the first studies, what was done concerning the bacteria in the uterus, they were done at the beginning of 70s, last century. And then the answer was that nearly 100% of normally calved cows have bacteria inside the uterus. But in the middle of 80s, a new generation of scientists came, and those scientists they start to think that maybe it is not so, and we should maybe look more what kind of methodology we are using to detect those bacteria inside the uterus. And we should also look where those bacteria are in the uterus. If they present in uterine lumen, they are not so dangerous, but if those bacteria are growing inside the tissue, they are much more dangerous. And you will see here that science in the middle of 80s, less normal cows we will find who have bacteria inside the uterus. And why it is changed is that they changed the methodology of collection here. This man was using the swabs. He was collecting the uterine liquid, and he was putting the bacteria inside the liquid on the uterus. But those men here, they used the biopsy instrument, and they were taking the uterine tissue easy, and they were looked in the laboratory the bacteria inside the tissue. And if you are going inside the tissue, you may see that there is much less bacteria. But if they are inside the tissues, they are really dangerous because they invade the tissue. But generally, we can say that maybe nowadays the average cows with normal calving, they have maybe 50% uterus are infected, not more. But anyway, if there is case of retained fetal membranes, or if we have assisted calving, in this case the bacterial contamination can be 100% sure. Prostaglandin F12 is a very important factor if we are talking about the normal uterine evolution. He is needed. This substance is needed. And what we will see if we will investigate these prostaglandins, we will see that there is a massive release of prostaglandins during 3 weeks postpartum. And those cows who have no bacteria inside the uterus and who have a nice long prostaglandin release after parturition, they have much quicker evolution process. And why it is so? And we know now that a certain amount of prostaglandins are needed for the evolution process. And what those prostaglandins are doing, mainly they are putting the uterus to contract, and during those contractions they diminish the size of the uterus, and also at the same time is a cleaning of the uterus. But if there is an infection, then the different situation may happen. Then we will see the different type of prostaglandins. We can call them as an inflammatory prostaglandins. And in case of infection, this prostaglandin release will persist for a longer time. This prostaglandin release is not so high, but it comes from inflammation. And if this non-inflammatory prostaglandin is helping uterus to involute, then this inflammation-related prostaglandins, this is not helping, and this is a reflection that there is inflammation. This is the norm. This is the normal process. We will see that those pictures is from my own doctoral thesis. And this is the first 15 days we will after parturition. Those are the days. And we will see that there is a lot of prostaglandins coming out. And those are the prostaglandins which are needed for supporting the uterus to involute. And on that cow had no any bacteria in the uterus, and when those prostaglandins are going to the baseline here, this cow had the first ovulation already here around day 20. So that was a short luteal phase here. Prostaglandins were destroying the CL there, a new ovulation here, and I'm absolutely sure that maybe this cow would stay pregnant to make because it was a very healthy cow. And this was the normal cycle here, which ends again with prostaglandin release. But if there is an inflammation, situation is like this. We have this involution normal prostaglandins here. Again, during first 10-12 days here. But on that cow had a bacteria in the uterus, and we collected 2 times a week. We took the biopsy samples. Every this column here is 1 week. This ends for 7 days. This ends here for 14 days. This ends here for 21 days. And on that cow, during first 3 weeks, had bacteria inside the uterus. She had Alpha-hemolytic streptococci there, and she had Bacterium biogenes. Nowadays, this bacterium is named Tuberella biogenes. And you will see here now that this prostaglandin, what is here, this is not anymore this normal prostaglandin. This is an inflammatory prostaglandin. It's not higher, but it's a reflection that there is inflammation. And immediately, this is the 4th week population. It starts from 21 day to 28 day. There is no bacteria anymore. And immediately when the bacteria is gone, this prostaglandin is going to the baseline. So it means that 2 types of prostaglandins. And now, if we are talking about the using the prostaglandins for helping uterus to clean or to heal, then yeah, this routine injections of prostaglandins is justified, because if we will add this prostaglandin, it increases the contractions of the uterus and it helps uterus to heal. Only what you should remember: never ever introduce the prostaglandins before day 8 of the population. If someone has done that before, this is a waste of money, because there is no effect during the first week. And the reason is that the prostaglandin level, which is coming from the uterus, is so high here that all uterus receptors, prostaglandin receptors, are blocked. by that prostaglandin there. And if we will inject the prostaglandins, there is no receptors which will catch this prostaglandin. It means that if we want to use the prostaglandins for better healing of the uterus, we should start to use them around day 9, 10, or even beyond the day 10 as well. Some terminological things here that if we are talking about the inflammation inside the uterus, we must be precise in terminology, because very often veterinarians are saying to me, and farmers are saying to me that I have many cows with metritis in my head. Then my question is that are you absolutely sure that this is the metritis? Maybe we are talking about the endometritis. Because if we are talking about the metritis, it means that the full uterus is inflamed. Metritis is the full inflammation of the uterus. It means that all layers, endometrium, merometrium, and perimetrium, is inflamed. But if we are talking about the endometritis, then the endometrium only is inflamed. And very often, the endometritis is the case. Metritis is more rare than endometritis. And of course, the pyometra. But the pyometra is part of the endometritis. Pyometra, we can also call that this is a chronic form of endometritis, because process has been for a very long time, and there is exudate, pollen inflammation in the endometrium, and the outcome is that there is a fluid accumulation in the uterine lumen. And usually, as I told you already in previous hours here, if the cows have this pyometra, usually they are not showing any heat. Usually we will not see any discharge because the cervix is closed and there is always corpus luteum in the lower. But of course they can be related and may develop sequentially. If there is a metritis at the beginning, this metritis will overgo to endometritis. And also this endometritis finally may develop as a pyometra. But nowadays, at least during the last 10 years, in Western Europe, in European countries, this classification is used for uterine inflammations. And Martin Sheldon from Great Britain was the author of this classification scheme, and his idea was that if we put the diagnosis, we should very much rely on the clinics, what we will see. And his opinion was that we should divide it as a puerperal metritis, which is during first 10 days. And usually, if it happens, cow is usually quite sick, because by clinic, what we will see is this fetid red foul watery diarrhea. Vaginal examination is usually discharge, and this discharge is purulent already. This discharge is smelling, and usually on that cow is a fever, if you will take a temperature. And of course, uterus is enlarged. There is always fluid in the uterus, and the consistency of the uterus is gouty. And then, after 10 days, if cow is not getting it up, it may go to clinical metritis. There is still a fever. Cow is cold. There is inappetence, reduced yield. And of course, from the vagina, there is always discharge, and again, this discharge is very often purulent. And of course, fluid in the uterus, either on rectal palpation, we can feel it, or even if we are doing the ultrasound, also ultrasound will show us. And now, here are the times, usually when the treatments are done. So, and now, if the first treatments are done and the cow is still not in proper order, it may easily happen that this puerperal metritis, which was going to be a clinical metritis, this will turn to clinical endometritis. And this endometritis here now means that the process starts to impede. Cow is apparently quite normal, but still there is some discharge from vagina visible, and still there is some fluid in the uterus. And now, when we are approaching to the end of the first months of the parturition, then it may happen that out of those cows develop the subclinical endometritis. And this is the biggest headache for the veterinarian and the biggest headache for the farmer, because it's extremely difficult to diagnose. Because the cow is quite normal. We will not see that she is ill or something. Also, usually there is no vaginal discharge, everything is okay. And fluid in the uterus, the amount of the fluid in the uterus might be so little that we cannot feel it by hand. And then we need the ultrasound or we need the vaginoscope to check inside. And on this case, we should make a massage of the uterus, strong massage of the uterus, trying to massage it out. But still, if there is a very little amount inside the uterus, it happens that it's not coming out from the vulva. It may stay somewhere in the vagina. And then the vaginoscope is helping us. And after massage, if we are taking the vaginoscope and we are looking to vagina, more than vaginoscopes, they have light inside. We are looking in the vagina, and if we will see that the cervix is open, and in the vagina is liquid, and even if the liquid is purulent, then of course this cow most likely have this subclinical endometritis. Or subclinical endometritis we can also see if the cow is in heat. And if the discharge which is coming is more water, or there's some flakes, solid flakes.
Translator counts for all you, so.
It means that during the heat, usually there is a discharge. But discharge during the heat should be mucoid and explosivity must be. But when it's a water, and if there are purulent flakes, this is a reflection that most likely that cow has subclinical endometritis, and we can see it only during this heat. Also, what might be the reflection that there is a subclinical endometritis is that we have done the insemination. And now, second, third day after insemination, we will see the purulent discharge. Again, this asks us that most likely the uterus was not okay. Now we made insemination. We introduce the semen in the reproductive tract. But what is semen? Semen is an orange protein. And if there is an inflammatory situation in the endometrium, this orange protein is making irritation. And this purulent discharge 2 or 3 days after insemination is this irritation, the semen irritation of the endometrium, inflamed endometrium. So, but it's very difficult to diagnose this subclinical endometritis. There is not enough for our hand. We need either vaginoscope or either ultrasound. Ultrasound we can also use for that, and it helps us quite a lot. And if we have a biometer, usually this biometer we will found after the day on day 42, and cow is normal, nothing wrong with that cow, eating, giving the milk. There is no vaginal discharge because cervix is closed. So, but if we are making the rectal palpation or if we are using the ultrasound, we will see the fluid inside the uterus. And usually active corpus luteum is lower. And of course, uterine distension is there. And then, as soon as possible, we should make a treatment. And if we are moving to treatment, prostaglandins is the choice of treatment. So, and now, if we're talking about the metritis, either it's a puerperal metritis, then it's a rarely severe condition. And cow is usually very sick, and almost always there is a temperature. And the temperature measurement of the parturition is very, very important. In Estonia, again, in our farms, veterinarian is not doing that. But those persons who are responsible for parturition and supervising the parturition, they have a duty during the 10 days of the parturition to take a temperature measurement for every cow who has calved. And the borderline for temperature is 39.5. All the cows who have 39.5 or higher, this is a temperature. And those cows are justified to get the antibiotics. If there is no temperature, we are not using antibiotics. Maybe some another substance, but not antibiotics. So, and very often those cows, beside the antibiotics, they also need the liquid gel. So, and bacteria also, if there is a Clostridium family involved to this metritis process, usually those cows go to color, because this is a very severe process. And this is the picture about the biometer. You will see that the uterus is open here. Cervix is closed. Cervix here is not visible, the cervix, but here is cervix visible. This is closed, so but there is quite a lot of purulent exudate inside the uterine lumen. There is always corpus luteum in the ovary. The reason is that this purulent liquid, which is inside the uterus, it's not let the endometrium to release the prostaglandins. Those prostaglandins which will destroy the corpus luteum. So, I think that, yeah, and as it is so, those animals will never cycle. We will not see the estrous cycles. But my next talk will be mainly concerning the endometritis, because this endometritis is, for sure, this is the most common form of uterine inflammation. Again, the contamination of the uterus will be during the parturition or during the early postpartum period. And the risk is bigger when the surroundings are very dirty and when the calving assistance has been made in dirty conditions, or this person who is doing that is not cleaning the cow and not cleaning her or his hand. So, and yeah, again, the same things are here. Is the idea about what I was already talking. Just I want to say one more time that this contamination of the parturition is a rather common. Roughly 50% of the cows will have this contamination. Of course, there is a lot of predisposing causes which may lead to uterine inflammation. And we can divide them to the blocks. And the first block here is related from parturition. Of course, you all know that if there is a retained fetal membranes, and those cows usually always endometritis will develop. Again, I want to repeat that the calving hygiene is very important, and also the stalking or assisted calving is a very big risk for developing of endometritis. Gestation length. It might be interesting why it is gestation length, but when there will be prolonged pregnancy, it means that the cow is not calving in the right time. There is a delay of calving. Then every day, which is more than expected, will add to calf weight. And finally, the calf might be so big that we need assistance, or even if we don't need assistance, it will be for the cow quite difficult. And the outcome will be that there are some injuries and endometritis may develop. Also, the same situation is in case if the parturition is too premature. And if there is a premature parturition, usually the outcome is a retained fetal membranes. And of course, the final outcome will be the endometritis. The same situation with abortion. As early stages, the abortion is occurring the quicker recovery of the uterus. But when the abortion is happening on the second trimester of the pregnancy, also there might be that the placenta is not separating normally, and again the outcome might be that you have a child. The same story with stillbirth. Twins. In Estonia, no farmers, they don't want to have twins, because those cows who are giving the birth to twins, they have a lot of problems with it, because it's a much higher pressure for the uterus. Usually they need assistance in calving. Quite often one calf is in anterior presentation, but the second calf is coming from posterior presentation. The situation almost always needs assistance, and this assistance may lead to uterine inflammation. And also those cows who have twins, they are more weak of the population. They are not eating so well. And in those farms I'm working, when I'm doing the pregnancy check around day 30 by ultrasound, and if I will find the twins, and then I'm asking for the farmer that you have twins here, then farmer is asking me that please crush one of them, but only one is left. We can do that, you can do that by ultrasound, but you should do it around day 30. If you are going to do that around day 35, it's too dangerous, and you may use the proteins. But around day 30, 31 is possible. So, then physiological block. It depends very much about the uterine self-defense mechanisms. And also how good the uterus is to heal, how good is the prostaglandin release. And also, on another side, ovaries should support this uterus healing. And usually, on those cows who are returning back to cycling quite early of the population, they have usually quicker uterine evolution also. Because early oestrosis, early rise of estrogens, and those estrogens helping also clean the uterus. Nutrition. Try cow overfeeding is very important, because if the cow is overfed, she's using her body reserves. It may lead to metabolic diseases, and if there are metabolic diseases, usually the reproductive problems is immediately there. Protein deficiency is also one factor, and quite a lot of science is done concerning
Sorry. Yes, I want to clarify this. Arastiratikva. Shravid rohis sedveta chamazei sovarela rohis shravchava. Shravat rohis rohis sedveta chamazei. Adasukevazem shravid rohis. Dara shravid sapozim.
Okay. Can I continue?
Just a moment. Oh, okay, good.
Okay. And then there is the last block, which is called others, other reasons. Season. I don't know how in Georgia, but probably you have more problems. I think that's my opinion. I don't know exactly, but I think that maybe you have more problems when they will call during this high temperature, because if the temperature, surrounding temperature is very high, there is always a risk that inflammatory processes are more severe. But I don't know. At least in Southern Europe, in Spain, in South Italy, they are asking that if there is higher temperatures and if there is a retained fetal membranes, cow is suffering much more with significant membranes than in winter child. Okay, breed, of course, Boston is absolutely the most vulnerable. It's the same, the stress factor is very important. And now again the question that extended dry period, how it may influence. But this extended dry period influence in such a way that if the cow is sitting too long to be a dry, there is always risk that this cow will be overfed. And usually those cows are getting fat, and this fatness is causing the problems also with parturition and also with this uterine inflammations of the parturition. And of course, these metabolic diseases, the tools is a milk fever. If there is a milk fever, almost always there will be an endometriosis after. And the same with endometriosis. The contaminants, some words about the contaminants, and we can divide them as environmental contaminants, anaerobic bacteria, facultative anaerobic bacteria. It means that they can live in anaerobic conditions and also in aerobic conditions. And representative here, what we will find mostly in case of endometritis is Escherichia coli, Puerperella, Diogenes, previously named Acanthobacterium, Pseudomonas, Staphylococca, Streptococca, and also Pastorella. And then there is another group which we can call obligate anaerobic species, and those are the bacteria which are living only in anaerobic conditions. And that's the Clostridium family, Bacteroides family, and Fusobacterium family. And my comment here is that the most dangerous ones are those ones, because postpartum uterus is anaerobic environment. It's anaerobic environment. And from that package, the most dangerous are two first ones. And I have been doing many research concerning this uterus pathology, and I defended my doctoral thesis for that topic. And I have been investigating a lot those bacteria. And if you have endometritis, what you will mostly find is and if there is a persistent infection beyond 21 days postpartum, usually there is a Puerperella pyogenes. So, and usually if there is Puerperella pyogenes, there is also always Fusarium or Fusobacterium family involved. And they together work very effectively, because this Puerperella causes large inflammatory damage. And this is very interesting to follow them, because this guy here reduces the growth factor for Fusarium. And it means that if you are doing the analysis, first if you will find this Puerperella, some week or 4 or 5 days later you will find this Fusobacterium. So, and this synergism between those bacterial species is the most dangerous. Because if there is together these three ones, Bacteroides, Streptococcus or Escherichia coli, usually big risk that there is an abscissation. If there is Bacteroides and Fusobacterium, you may find quite a lot of tissue destructions. Bacteroides is producing a substance that prevents the phagocytosis capacity of the host animal. And as I mentioned already, this Puerperella pyogenes produces a growth factor for Fusobacterium and Proforum. They are almost always together, and also the elimination is very interesting. First, the Puerperella is going away, and after 1 week you will not find the Fusobacterium. So, and yeah, this is the most common package. Now, how to diagnose, how to identify the infection. There are different methods, and the most oldest one, and still one of the most used one, is still rectal palpation. Yeah, but yeah, nowadays cows have been changed, and also the inflammatory processes are changed a little bit, and quite a lot these clinical processes are going on. And for better diagnostics, I think you need additional things. And besides the rectal palpation, next I will put the vaginoscopic examination. Because this vaginoscopic examination is very well correlated to uterine infections. And the most important is that this vaginoscope is not very expensive. They are available nowadays. And the best ones of them, they have light inside. They are like pocket lamp. Just this pocket lamp, the glass tube is introduced, and you will introduce this glass tube into vagina, and you will put the light.
You have to talk with the...
Yeah. And you will introduce this glass tube inside, and there is this handle, and there is batteries inside. You push the handle, and light is switching here, and you can see inside. I have pictures, I will show you soon. So, then, of course, which is coming more and more, and all over the world, this is very, very popular, and it's coming in Estonia also. Many farms who have 1,000 or more than 1,000 cows, they are planning to buy this equipment themselves, which is very good. And I think that if we have the ultrasound, vaginoscope is maybe not so important. But if you are using just your hand, the vaginoscope is absolutely needed to have. Then there is possibilities which is not possible to use so much in the field conditions. For example, cultures of uterine fluids. This is quite expensive, but also it needs to laboratory. Of course, if someone, veterinarians who are here today, if you have a possibility and you want to detect the bacteria, you may collect, of course, this fluid, you may send it to the laboratory, and finally at least you will get known what bacteria you will have there, and maybe also you will get know what susceptibility of this bacteria have to antibiotics. Also, endometrial biopsy, this is a scientific world, mostly in practice it is not used, so again expensive, needs some training, and the same is endometrial cytology. Our scientific group in Estonia is working now with this endometrial cytology. We developed also equipment for that. To make this procedure is not very, very difficult. I will show you this equipment also. But anyway, you need a supportive laboratory because you can collect those cells from the endometrium, but someone in the laboratory must so to say, core them and must calculate them on the microscope. And maybe after some years, veterinarians either do it themselves, but at least at the present moment, I do not see that this last 3 ones there, this cultures of uterine fluids or endometrial biopsy or endometrial cytology is going to feedbacks. I will not also stop here because this methodology is developed myself. I used it in my doctoral thesis. I defended them in 1999. And I was using those biopsies, and this was what I was. And this outcome of those biopsies is that later on, if you have this tissue slide, you just calculating the inflammatory cells in this slide, how many inflammatory cells you find. Because the normal endometrium should not contain those inflammatory cells at all. And if there is many, this is a reflection of the inflammatories. So, and the same is for, because especially if you are going to collect the bacteriology samples using the biotomes, again you need some skills and you need a supportive laboratory. But this is the using of vaginoscope. Now, but first of all, maybe the question, what is the normal? What is the normal situation in the hair? How much we can have endometriosis? Because nowadays there is no hair. I haven't seen the hair where there is no endometriosis at all. Because how is somebody's solutions to get this endometritis? Because the connection between the endometrium and the placenta is quite strong in cow, and there might happen very easily these disconnection problems, and a part of the placenta may stay inside and so on. And also, as this connection is so strong, this restoration of caruncular surface, there might be happening disturbances, and it means that usually we are saying that if you have in the head 20% of endometritis, this is not a very big problem. Of course, we should fight with that. But if it's more than 20%, probably we should start to find the reasons and we work with possible reasons. So, but the worst thing is that if we are not doing the proper diagnostics, then may happen that roughly half of those inflammations we will not discover. And this is the biggest problem. And for that, this is the speculum here, and this is not this pocket lamp speculum, but this is an ordinary tube. So usually they are made from glass. So, and this is the pencil here, pencil lamp. This pencil lamp is introduced, and if you will light here, you will see inside, and the picture what you will see is like this. And here is very nicely seen that cervix is almost closed, but still discharge is coming, and there is even small pool of this discharge just down from the cervix. And if the volume is very little, if the discharge volume is maybe 10-15 milliliters, it's very hard to take it out from hand. And it will stay inside the vagina, but this speculum helps us quite a lot. So that if you have a possibility, my strong suggestion is to have that for better diagnosis. And of course, why it is so important to see the discharge? Because according to this discharge, what we will see, we can make, we can choose the treatment, what kind of treatment we are going to use, and also what might be the success of treatment that we are going to use. And next picture here, you will see the most common discharge, what is possible to see. And this is also, this classification is made by Sheldon, the same man who developed this classification scheme for endometritis. And usually there is from 0 to 3 scorings for the inflammatory discharge from the vagina. These 3 separate. And why this 3 is separate? Because if the discharge is containing the blood and it's a water and it's smelling, usually this is smelling very, very bad. I'm absolutely sure that 1/3, at least 2/3 of cows who have such a discharge, they may go to the culling to the reason that they will not get pregnant. But mostly you can see the discharges like this. So, and this is the best one, of course, clear, almost clear, some flakes here, some flakes here. This is number 1 is of course there is still more mucus than those purulent flakes. This is a 50% mucus, 50% purulent mass, and this is mostly like a cream. So, and again, these discharges you may see mostly after day 20 or around day 20 of the pathogen. But why is important exactly to know what kind of discharge there is? And the reason is here. Because the same men, they tested the treatment schemes according to discharge. And if you have discharge like this, and of course, my question is here, maybe we should not treat at all. But even if we are going to treat, animals with such a discharge, the pregnancy rate after treatment will be almost 100%. If the discharge is like that, and we are going to make treatment, we may get roughly 80% of pregnancy after treatment. If there is 50% mucus, 50% purulent discharge, not very good situation. After treatment, pregnancy rate can be 50%. And if there is poor purulent mass, it's maybe only 40%. It means that if we can detect what kind of discharge there is, what kind of inflammation there is, we can make a prognosis. So, and if we are running to treat this cow with such a discharge, for example, we should be very careful to make a prognosis that this cow will always get pregnant. Be careful, because investigations are telling us that the success rate from such a discharge might be maybe only 1/3. So, of course, it's very much depends on that when this situation happens. When such situations are occurring during the first months of pregnancy, usually these discharges are around 20 days or so. Then we have a bigger hope to get the result. But when we have a cow who calved 100, 150 days ago, and this cow had such a discharge, I'm very careful to say for the farmer that you will get this cow. Of course, we may try to treat, but the situation is that there has been a long time chronic inflammation. And if this inflammation has been for 3, 4, 5 months, endometrium can be destroyed. This cow is not getting it. It means that it's very important to differentiate